guys just came from Green Street on the other side of Route 9. Right. So when you're coming down Green Street, you can't put across all three lanes because there's a solid white line there on that off-ramp.
Hey everyone, we've got a good one for you all today. On this episode of Predatory Policing, we're going to check out Woodbridge, New Jersey, thanks to one of our favorite subscribers, Floyd. See, Floyd was a victim of these worthless officers when they illegally detained him, falsely issued him a citation, and then lost in court when the legal system finally worked for one of us little guys. Floyd and about 100 other people in this town of only about 100,000 were issued citations for allegedly crossing over a solid white line and making improper lane changes, both of which hadn't occurred in this situation. In New Jersey, the man who created this original video cites statutes and states it is not illegal to cross over a solid white line. However, in the video, the solid white line was questionable to begin with and not very visible since it was so worn off. So even if that was a thing, the average person couldn't be held responsible for crossing it since this town doesn't spend the tax dollars they siphon on their roadways.
On Monday, September 28th of 2020, the Police Department of Woodbridge Township, New Jersey, perpetrated a predatory policing action on motorists at the intersection of Green Street and Route 9 in Woodbridge, extorting money from dozens and dozens of drivers over several hours.
So listen, you guys just came from Green Street on the other side of Route 9. Right. So when you're coming down Green Street, you can't put across all three lanes because there's a solid white line there on that off-ramp. So come on this side, because there's a solid white line there, you have to go down to Main Street.
The fact is that there was no solid white line there, and even if there were, according to the New Jersey Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, it is not illegal to cross a single solid white line. There were also traffic signs there allowing the lane change, but we'll get to that. Each of these drivers were issued a traffic violation ticket under New Jersey State Statute 39:4-88 Bravo, which is traffic on marked lanes, unsafe lane change. If found guilty of this offense, this ticket will cost you 2 points on your driver's license and carries a fine of $186. On this little stretch of Green Street, I personally witnessed at least 5 cop cars, most of which were unmarked, in a merry-go-round of stopping motorists and issuing tickets for several hours. A ticket was being issued by each officer approximately every 5 minutes. That would be 12 tickets per hour per officer. At $186 per ticket, if you pled guilty and paid the fine, that would be $11,160 per hour of revenue being generated for the Township of Woodbridge. Of course, the prosecutors will give you the opportunity to plead to a lesser offense that you did not commit, that doesn't carry points, but carries a fine of several $100s more. That generates much more revenue for them. And of course, motorists would prefer to pay extra money rather than get the 2 points on their license, and that's just part of the whole scam. I know of a particular motorist that pled not guilty to this ticket. It took him a year in the COVID kangaroo court via Zoom, but his case was dismissed with no fines and no points. None of these tickets should have been written in the first place.
The original video is very informative. This man really breaks down the tyranny in New Jersey. If you plead guilty and pay the fine, you can avoid points on your record, which is a higher fine, and then they make even more money off of you. Here's the thing. I, too, have been set up with a gaggle of soul-sucking officers. When a certain area of roadways have so many complaints, it makes it all the way up to the city council or someone who you're told you're supposed to appease. First of all, who gives a shit about the city council? Second, in my experience, it was from the street racing, running stop signs, speeding in school zones, and such. You know, actual legitimate things you can cite someone for. Not some half-assed fucking white paint on a roadway that's so worn off it looks like a drunk girl's makeup at 2 a.m. when the club closes.
As I said previously, there was no solid white line, and the marked road signs allowed traffic lane changes. Here's the evidence. Every one of the dozens of motorists who got ticketed that day came down this portion of Green Street to merge onto Route 9. Then they would cross over to the left side of Route 9 to exit under the underpass and continue up onto Green Street into Woodbridge. This has happened every day for decades on this route without police molestation. But this day was different. On this day there was a trap. Here is the route on September 28th of 2020. The silver vehicle parked in the grass on the left is an unmarked police car, and he is the spotter. He observes any cars changing lanes exiting Route 9 to go up to Green Street under the underpass, and he radios the vehicle description to the gang of police waiting on the other side. Take note of the yellow traffic control signs. We're going to get back to those in a minute. But for now, let's observe the alleged solid white line. there is none. It is definitely not a solid white line. From this point, a motorist would have more than enough time to check his side and rear view mirrors to ascertain that it is safe to make the lane changes to take the exit on the left up to Green Street as we see here.
So all of these sorry excuses of men and women decided to illegally detain close to 100 people in illegitimate traffic stops, then issue them citations and make the city tens of thousands of dollars.
Let's get back to those pesky signs. The only existing traffic control signs on the route in question are called an added lane sign. As defined under Section 2C.41 in the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, the signs are designated by the identification of W4-3, which is an added lane sign. And it states, the added lane W4-3 sign should be installed in advance of a point where two roadways converge and merging movements are not required. When possible, the added lane sign should be placed such that it is visible from both roadways. If this is not possible, an added lane sign should be placed on the side of each roadway. So it is quite clear that according to the manual, the sign does not require a merge, but it also does not restrict one either. As I had mentioned previously, one particular driver got this ticket dismissed and paid no fines and had no penalties. They immediately pled not guilty to this ticket and requested discovery from Woodbridge Township Court prosecutors. The courts were not cooperative at all in providing discovery to the defendant. But very interestingly, 3 weeks after this extortion of motorists, the highway lines were all freshly painted. This does not change anything in the legality of crossing a solid white line or making proper lane changes to take an exit. I just thought it was kind of suspect that the lines were repainted so soon after this Predatory Policing Act. No traffic signs were changed. The caption on the Woodbridge Police logo reads, "Leading the way to a safer community." Was this policing action about safety, or was it just a money grab? It seems quite logical that if the municipality were that concerned with the safety of this particular section of roadway, the signage and the lines would have been changed a long time ago. It does not appear that safety was a concern when each officer, after just having written a ticket, would hurry to get back in line to write another one by making an illegal U-turn into the blind spot of oncoming traffic exiting off of Route 9, and then park right at the top of the hill of that exit, blocking the view of anyone coming up Oakwood Avenue to make a right turn onto Green Street, as this vehicle is doing right here in this video. This happened over and over for several hours. Here is an interesting procedural legal question on this entire charade. It is my understanding that in a court of law, a defendant has the right to depose their accuser. For each officer that issued one of these tickets, it is his name on the ticket, and he is the one subpoenaed to a court to testify against the driver. But he never witnessed anything because he was on the other side of the bridge, nearly a quarter-mile away from the spotter, who was up on a hill on the other side of the highway, calling ahead potential victims on his radio. That's why these cops never show up in court when they are subpoenaed, because they weren't there. Anyone with a legal background, please comment on this with your thoughts and experience. I would like to know who the mastermind was behind this big scam of revenue collection from drivers who are not committing any traffic offense. Was it the chief of police? Was it a prosecutor saying just issue the tickets and we'll collect the money? Or did it come from higher up in state government? In my opinion, this is corruption. This is a modern-day speed trap, except they use lane changes instead of speeding. The system counts on the fact that people don't have time to try and defend themselves in the slow-grinding wheels of the judicial system, and people don't want to burden the expense of an attorney for a traffic offense, even if they're not guilty. It is sad to think of the dozens and dozens of people who either just pled guilty and paid the $160 fine and got 2 points on their license, or showed up in court to plea bargain their ticket down to 0 points and a $439 ticket for a different offense they did not commit. The defendant of the ticket represented in this video got his case dismissed with no fines or penalties because he pled not guilty to the ticket and sought his day in court, which he never really got because the courts kept trying to tie him up with cancellations, procedural and administrative errors, and postponement after postponement because the ticketing police officer refused to show up in court. The prosecutor refused to provide us with the discovery we had requested, which is against the rules of the court. Here is the final hearing with the judge, who had no choice but to dismiss this case because the prosecutors couldn't prove anything. I may or may not do a follow-up video with all the details and the debacle of the court proceedings that went on for a year that led up to this dismissal. In any case, stay safe out there and keep your eyes on the road. As a matter of fact, keep your eyes on everything, and if it smells fishy, record it and document it.
Andrea, can you bring the municipal prosecutor into this, please?
Yes, and he also, Harry wants to speak to April for the...
Lastly, was there an abundance of officers that day? No other crimes or calls for service were occurring during all this fuckery? This must be one of the first cities I've heard of that is crime-free, and about a dozen officers can spend hours targeting the very people who are the reason they have paychecks. This is another prime example to not only know the local laws in your area, but also do some research. And if you have the fight in you, then take these tyrants to court. Every once in a while, the legal system works in your favor. Although this man did get out of his ticket, I doubt nothing happened to any of these assholes. Probably not even a, hey, we messed up, don't do that again. These people were illegally detained, robbed of their hard-earned money, and no punitive action will be taken against any of these incompetent donut guzzlers. Don't forget to always audio or video record your police interactions. Request the body cam footage, even though you won't probably get it, and always document what happened so that if you do get your day in court, they can't steamroll you into submission. A minute ago, I mentioned the city council. Do you have a city council where you're from? Did you know it's just another waste of tax dollars? The city council scheme is completely worthless. Between them, local law enforcement, city managers, and mayors, it's all just one big circle jerk of them all doing each other favors for their own personal interests, and then breadcrumbing their constituents just enough that they get elected again. If you have spare time, feel free to call the city of Woodbridge at area code 732-634-4500 and let them know what you think about their corrupt law enforcement. What are your honest opinions about what happened? Leave them in the comments below so we can continue this conversation about New Jersey's tyranny. Please like this video, share it with all of your friends, and subscribe if you don't already. Thanks for watching.
Is hereby dismissed, lack of prosecution.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, thank you, Mr. Prosecutor. Anything else before the court today, Mr.? I don't think so.
No, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
Please dismiss you. Stay safe out there.
Thank you, too.